In this video, we'll take these 3 photos, correct all the distortion due to the lens, and do a selective black and white. Here is the final result. So come and join me in my episode number 25. Hello mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Ramelli and welcome to episode 25 of my photography, Lightroom and Photoshop tips. Last week we retouched for Christmas this chalet. This is the before photo and this is the after photo. This week we're going to go to New York. I was in New York about a month ago and I was trying to shoot the beautiful buildings that you see in New York. The only problem is that when you take photos of it, you get big lens distortion and they look very small on the photo. I wanted to show you a trick so you can see the greatness of these monuments, whether it's New York, anything which is tall. And the other thing is I'll show you how to do selective black and white just using Lightroom. So this is the before photos, 3 raw files, and this is the final result we're going to get. So join me and let me show you how we do this. All right guys, so I was in New York about a month ago and I took quite a few photos, but one thing I have been disappointed with is that the buildings are very tall in New York, like this one. And also I have the same thing in Paris. That's something I ran into as a photographer. When you try to capture a big monument, a big building, it looks always weird on the photo because of the lens distortion. You know how when you tilt up your lens and how the building goes like this, So it's kind of hard to give justice to really show the world what it's like to be in New York. So that's the first tip I'm going to try to teach you today. And the second is how to do selective black and white in Lightroom. So we're going to start off in Lightroom, go into Photoshop and finish off in Lightroom. And this is how we do it. So here is a simple photo of New York. And it's going to be a pano. Usually panos are from left to right, and this one is going to be from bottom up. So I'm going to try correct the first photo. Here I am. So we start off with the standard thing. I'm going to open up the shadows, but on this one I want to go for a complete blown out sky look, which is something I very seldom do. I'm a huge fan of crazy clouds, but today I am not going to go for the crazy clouds. I'm going to go for the pure white sky. But as it's a black and white, I think it's got some style. I think you'll like it. So anyway, so I put up the shadows. I'm not going to touch the highlights so much. I'm going to press the Option key just to the whites. Make sure the whole sky is blown out. That's cool. But one thing I'm going to do is get the clarity way up. I'm going to get the clarity like around 50 or even maybe 100. I want some big time clarity because I'm going to go for a little HDR look. All right, so that's what I'm doing. Maybe a little contrast, but not even that so much. Yeah, no, I'm gonna maybe put the highlights a bit down like this and the exposure a bit up, contrast a bit up, something like that. All right, now I'm gonna sync the setting that I did on the first one on the second and third one by pressing sync, making sure everything is, one thing I forgot to do before I do that, I'm sorry. I forgot to do the lens correction. That's very important here because we are trying to do a pano. So I go in lens correction, I just activate enable profile correction. That's all. And then I'm going to sync everything, check all and synchronize. Okay. Now I'm going to look at the second photo and it's too much blown out compared to the first one. So I'm going to correct that a little bit by just lowering the exposure of the photo and lowering the highlights, And then I'm going to do the same thing with the third one. I'm going to basically, I'm going to lower even more the exposure on the second one, okay? And I'm just going to synchronize the setting from the second one to the third one. So, and then we'll look how the third one is going. Okay, and third one is not so bad. It's not so bad. Okay, I'm kind of happy of, that's just a very little retouch. So I'm going to select all 3 and I'm going to right click, edit, merge to panorama in Photoshop. So Photoshop is already open. So I did not update my Photoshop, but that's kind of fine. I click open anyway. Make sure I'm on auto, 3 files open, blend image together. Ladies and gentlemen, let's press OK. And now Photoshop is going to do its magic. I'm going to pause the video until it's done. Okay, so this is the merge result. Wow, it's a bit nothing, right? So I would not be able to do anything if Photoshop CS6 did not invent this amazing wide angle adaptive filter. And so this is how it works. You duplicate the layer, you don't have to, but I always like to work on duplicate layers. You go into filter, adaptive wide angle. And the beauty of that filter is that it detects what lens did you use and already tries to correct it. See how it detects that this was a 1740 millimeter? I love that. And all you have to do is, for example, here I click on the top here, I drag my mouse without holding any button, and I drop here at the bottom. And then I right click on one of the borders here and I say I want this to be vertical. Boom. Then same thing for that building. I draw a line and I say I want this line to be vertical. Boom. Now this line here, I want this line to be vertical. Okay, so right click, vertical. Okay, next, the border here, I want this to, and you see how it bends and actually follows the building because it knows the bad work it did, the distortion did. Okay, not need to put it vertical. See how it's rounded here? Now check this out. I click here and it follows the roundness and I drop and I don't have anything to do and it took out all the roundness. I just love that filter because you see now we have the ability to show the world the grandness, the greatness of what New York is like, or of any tall building. I hate when it's all distorted. I personally don't hate it because it looks fake, Even so, this whole photo is going to look completely fake at the end. Now this, I want this to be vertical. I'm sorry, and I want this to be vertical. Okay, so you get the idea. Now this is still a very high resolution file. So even so, when I'm going to click OK, the whole photo is going to be a lot smaller because we had to, we had to reduce it to correct all the distortion. It's still going to be very, very usable. You will see at the end. So now it's applying the filter. It's applying the filter. It's, I mean, this is probably like a 9,000 pixels tall photo because, it was merging 3 photos from a Canon 5D Mark II. So, okay, let me pause this until it's done. Here we are. We have 2 filters. First one is the correct, was the original one and that's the corrected one. So now I'm going to unclick the background filter. I'm going to take the crop tool and I'm going to crop the hell out of it. I'm going to crop here and I'm going to crop here. I'm just taking out all the, all the lines. I'm going to crop here and I'm going to crop around here about. Okay, and I press enter. Okay, so now we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. But you see, this looks small, but check this out. Image size, it's still a 6,000 wide by 8,000 almost pixel high. So it's still a lot of resolution here. A lot of details, ladies and gentlemen. So now I created an empty layer and I'm going to try, because I want to do an effect. And in that effect, I want everything to be black and white, but this. So I need this to be alive. So for this, I'm going to try to sort of cut and paste what's missing here. I'm going to see if I can speed up the process by using the content aware field. So I'm going to take the magic wand, select this. No, not magic wand. Command D to unselect. I'm going to take the quick selection tool. Actually, never tried that. Let's try this. Okay, now I did a selection. I'm going to expand that selection a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to make a little line. So select, modify, expand the selection about 10 pixels. All right. And then I'm going to go into edit, fill, choose content aware and click OK. Now this is also going to take a while because it's going to have to create content based on the structure. I just want to see if it's going to be a better job than what I'm going to do with a stem tool. because this part is, is a bit the tricky part here on the photo. I want to create the illusion that we have some more materials there. Okay, Command D. Now that looks totally not good. So let me undo that by pressing Command Z twice with Command Option Z. Okay, and I'm going to go for this good old stem tool. It's going to be rough, but let's do it. So Command D to unselect. I'm going to zoom in. Now I'm going to do this a bit roughly because I don't want to spend 2 hours on a video showing you. I've done it before and it kind of works. It's kind of hard to tell because the structure of the building is very similar. So I'm faking this a lot. I'm trying to do this fast. So the result is not going to be great. So don't write me and tell me it's not good. I know it's not good. But I just want you to understand the principle of building that image. Also, I'm not going to use everything because I think I'm gonna crop this photo a bit earlier. I just want to do this real fast. It's not really good what I'm doing, but I'm still doing it. But you will see at the end, you hardly see anything. You hardly see anything. Right now it's a bit funky. It's a bit funky, but okay, I'm just trying to do this real fast. Okay, it's completely repetitive. I know, it's crazy. It's not good, but you see what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crop it, and I'm actually going to crop it even more, a little bit more. Yeah, just next to the red light, something like this. So already, there I have to use a bit less material. It's just, I totally messed up here at the end. So, you know what? I'm going to erase that. This is on its own layer. You see how this is on its own layer? So what I can do is that I want a bit too fast. So I'm going to take the eraser and I'm going to erase what I did here. I really don't like what I did here. Okay, and I'm going to redo it by taking a bit more time. So stem tool, and I'm going to try to, I just want to copy anything that's there. Okay, here. Okay, and let's go up. Okay, now that looks already a bit more cool. Okay, see how I made this bigger? Went a bit fast. Now it kind of looks weird, because we double this man. So we can go in, and for example, copy the shop over here. Nobody's gonna see that. Maybe here, take the time to do it right. This is not a course about using the stem tool because I'm really bad at it right now. But this is a course about how to get buildings to look right. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it for now like this. Maybe I'm just going to try to just correct this just a little bit. So it's a bit nicer there. Okay, that kind of looks cool. I hope you do a better job than I did. But you see when you look at it like at 100% already, you don't see it so much. Oh, here I forgot. I have to stamp here. Okay, then I'm going to close this. All right. And I'm going to save it. It's going to re-import in Lightroom as a huge file. And so I'm going to press pause until it's re-imported. Oh, here it is. No. Okay, so it's back in Lightroom. And now I'm going to finish it off in Lightroom. So now I'm going to double process it. I merged it. And to double process it, I'm going to do some processing. So I'm going to boost the clarity to give it an even more HDR look. The highlights, let me go maybe a little bit up. Shadows, open the shadows, but not too much. Yeah, something like that. I kind of like that. Now I want to make a selective black and white to this. So for this, I'm going to go into the hue, saturation, and luminance. I'm going to go into saturation and see how this. I just want the yellows and the reds to appear. So. And anything which is not red, orange, yellow, I'm going to take the green down, I'm going to take the aqua down, the blue down, the purple down, and the magenta down. Everything is going to turn black and white except the yellow and the red. Let's see what happens if I take out the orange. No, orange is not going to work. Now, on the opposite, I'm going to get the reds, the orange, and the yellow to be more saturated. So now everything turns black and white except the taxi and the light, which is what I want to go for. But you see, the building has a bit of orange. We have a bit of orange here. So I want to take that out. So for this, I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to make this brush, I'm going to press the Option key and reset this brush, get this brush minus saturation, which is 100% minus. And now I'm making sure the feather is 100%, the flow is 100%, density 100%. And now I'm just going to brush, and wherever I brush, it becomes pure black and white. Almost. Now, the reason why in some part it's not pure black and white is because I saturated the reds and the orange. So anything which has red and orange is still a bit on. So it's kind of nice looking there, but I want really to get this black and white. So all you have to do is just re-brush over it. And if it still doesn't go, you create a new brush with 100% minus saturation, and you just go one more time over it, and now it's going to turn pure black and white. And the reason it didn't work at first is just because I had oversaturated the reds and the yellows. So now I can zoom in around the lights, and so that I take the time to do it right. You get the idea. We want to go for pure black and white, and just the street light is going to be yellow, and just the taxi is going to be yellow. Maybe this can go out. Okay, I just want to get this a bit bigger, but you get the idea. Okay, this is kind of cool. Now around, you have to take a bit of time to do it right, here around the red light, so we have a real contrast between no color and some color. And that's kind of what I like on this. I love this selective color. Sometimes it works well. It's the one from New York is very standard. You see it in every IKEA shop. This sort of everything black and white except the yellow cabs from New York. So I did not invent anything. What I wanted to show you is how you can do it in Lightroom. Okay, that's for one thing. And the other thing I wanted to show you is how to get this building straight, because I love these buildings when they're straight. Okay, so that's about it. So that's a bit the final result. Maybe I'm going to add some contrast to this. And yes, that's about it. Even more clarity maybe, and brighter or darker, something like this. But this is the look I was going for. You can add, let's see if we add some shadows. Yeah, it could be kind of nice. So it's kind of voila. That was what I was going for, and it worked out well. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the studio. All right, guys. So I hope you liked that tutorial. This week's inspiration is a website I stumbled upon using stubble.com, and it's called The Cool Hunter. It's got amazing pictures of places you want to go to take photos. It's just a lot of inspiration. I decided to take a lot of new trips after watching this site. Here is the link so that you can see all these places, and it's really very inspiring. Okay, if you like this podcast, please help me promote it. You can comment, you can like this podcast on YouTube, you can subscribe to it. All that helps me to get it known. If you can share it, if you can promote it on your own blogs, that would be really lovely, because I think it can help photographers all over the world. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.